married in June 2006, and barely 4 months into our marriage, my addictions that I'd done really nothing about blew our marriage to smithereens, and I went into the Betty Ford Center for 3 months. 4 months into a marriage, I'm in rehab for 3 months.
Once Upon a Time, The Fighter wasn't just a hit song. It was Keith Urban's promise to Nicole Kidman, a musical vow to protect her from the chaos of the world. But today, that love song feels like a faded echo of a story that's quietly come to an end. After nearly 2 decades together, their marriage officially dissolved with 2 words no one ever expects to see next to their name: irreconcilable differences.
Divorce filing comes just 5 days after she stepped out still wearing her wedding ring. Nicole signed the doc yesterday and cites irreconcilable differences. The actress was granted primary custody of their 2 teenage daughters.
Incredible mom.
Once hailed as one of Hollywood's strongest couples, their 19-year love story has now been reduced to 37 pages of legal paperwork, a cold, silent record of a relationship that once defined romance in the spotlight. But was it really just irreconcilable differences? Or was there something deeper? Something they kept hidden from the cameras all along. According to court records, Keith Urban signed the custody agreement on August 29, 2025. Nicole followed a week later on September 6. But here's where things get interesting. She didn't immediately file the papers. Instead, those documents sat unsubmitted for almost a month. It wasn't until September 30th that she finally took them to court in Nashville, the very city they once called their forever home. Within hours, TMZ broke the story. Minutes later, the internet exploded. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban split after 19 years.
What seems like a sudden breakup between Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman, married for 19 years.
But amid the media frenzy, few noticed that month-long pause, that hesitation before she made it official. It wasn't a spontaneous decision. It was the result of weeks, maybe months, of heartbreak, confusion, and quiet acceptance. According to close sources, Nicole spent most of the summer trying to fix things. She was filming Practical Magic 2 in London, while Keith was on his High and Alive tour across Europe and the U.S. What used to be their shared world slowly split into 2 separate ones. She was still holding on to hope, but every unanswered call, every night apart, made her realize that the man she once called home had started to feel like a stranger. A close friend revealed she didn't want this. She really tried to save the marriage, but once she realized he hadn't been honest about a few things, she knew she couldn't keep fighting.
A source tells ET she is devastated about the split, adding she tried everything to save the 19-year marriage.
There was nothing impulsive about her decision. Every signature, every line in that paperwork represented acceptance, not anger. By early August, Keith had quietly moved out of their Nashville home. He was staying in a separate apartment to focus on the tour, according to People. But to those close to them, it was the first real sign that something was breaking. Their last public appearance together was on June 20th, 2025, at the FIFA Cup World Cup Final in Nashville. They smiled for cameras, waved at fans, and held hands, a picture of unity. But just 5 days later, on what should have been their 19th wedding anniversary, that picture-perfect image had already started to fade. Nicole even posted a heartfelt photo on Instagram on June 25th with the caption, "Happy anniversary, my love," just weeks before everything fell apart. She still believed love could win, but maybe he'd already stopped believing long before that. What really ended them wasn't a fight or a scandal, it was silence. 2 people slowly losing connection, too tired to keep holding on. But then came the rumors. As soon as the news broke, tabloids swirled with whispers, claims of infidelity, relapse, and betrayal. People pointed to Keith's past struggles with addiction as proof that something must have gone wrong. He'd battled alcohol and D issues early in his career, even entering rehab 3 times. The last one in 2006, just 4 months after marrying Nicole. Back then, she'd flown him to Australia herself, determined to save their marriage. That moment painted her as his anchor, and for years, it worked.
Constant rejection, and in an all too familiar tale, he found comfort in his first visit to rehab was 9 years ago.
When it got really hard, I sort of, it's like walking up against a wall, and it didn't occur to me to go around it or leave or something. I just kept, hitting it.
But how much of that hitting could you take? I mean,
Quite a lot. But everything happens for a reason, and whatever doesn't, it really does make you stronger.
But when their split hit the headlines, that history made the public quick to assume the worst. Yet, as Taste of Country pointed out after reviewing all 37 pages of court files, every story about Keith Urban comes from anonymous sources. Most of them favor Nicole Kidman. The outlet later announced a live special, Talking Country Live, promising to set the record straight using verified documents and reliable sources. While the world debated who was to blame, the truth, hiding in plain sight, was far simpler. Sometimes love doesn't end with betrayal. It just runs out of strength. According to official court filings, Nicole was granted full custody of their daughters. She'll handle all decisions regarding their education, health care, and upbringing. Keith was given 59 visitation days a year, mostly on weekends. Both agreed to complete a post-divorce parenting course and to never speak ill of each other in front of their kids. Keith will pay $6,500 a month in child support until their youngest, Faith Margaret, turns 18 in 2028. Neither asked for alimony. They both earn over $100,000 a month. This was never about money, it was about peace. After nearly 2 decades of love, partnership, and growth, they didn't walk away angry, just done. Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman are both okay. They're just not okay together anymore.
3 months. We had no idea what was going to happen to us. And if you want to see what love in action really looks like, give that a whirl. Nick pushed through every negative voice, I'm sure even some of her own, and she chose love. And here we are tonight, 18 years later.
If there's one thing that separates their breakup from so many others in Hollywood, it's that there's no chaos, no bitterness, no war, just quiet clarity. Even in love, they kept their worlds balanced. Long before saying "I do" in 2006, Kidman and Urban had already built a relationship based on clarity, not chaos. Both knew what they wanted, and more importantly, what they needed to protect. After her heartbreaking split from Tom Cruise, Nicole had learned a painful lesson. Love can vanish, but money can make the pain even messier. So, before marrying Keith, she insisted on a detailed prenuptial agreement that clearly separated their finances. Every dollar earned, every property purchased, would remain under its rightful owner's name. Keith didn't argue. In fact, he embraced the idea. He believed that transparency was love's best insurance, that honesty could keep their relationship free from suspicion or resentment, and that's exactly what happened. So when the time finally came to part ways, there were no fiery courtroom showdowns or tabloid wars over money. Everything was already sorted. According to the court's 37-page filing, all joint assets were placed under trusts and LLCs, divided precisely by the terms of their original prenup. The house, the art, the furniture, every item was allocated with mutual respect. Not a single dispute, no drama, no one asking for more than what was theirs. Fox Business and Page Six estimate their combined fortune at around $325 million, from their long-loved Nashville home to a $7 million Sydney penthouse, a sleek Manhattan duplex, and even a sprawling 100-acre retreat in Bunya Hill, Australia. And yet, when the dust settled, everything was divided exactly as agreed. No battles, no bitterness. Industry insiders called it one of the most graceful divorces Hollywood has ever seen, not because it was easy, but because it was handled with maturity, discipline, and mutual respect built over 19 years. Keith and Nicole had always been that rare Hollywood couple, the kind that reminded everyone that when love is rooted in respect, even goodbye can be gentle.
Grateful that we got married in Sydney and we were in Australia, and it was beautiful. You find the person that you're meant to be with, and in our case, I have no doubt that that's exactly what's happened.
For Nicole, this was not her first heartbreak under the spotlight. Back in 2001, when Tom Cruise suddenly filed for divorce just days before their 10th anniversary, it shattered her. The world watched her crumble, blindsided, grieving, and questioning if love was ever truly lasting. But this time, 2 decades later, she was different, stronger, wiser. There were no public tears, no desperate explanations, no breakdowns, just calm acceptance. Because sometimes love doesn't die, it transforms. People evolve, and what once felt eternal simply has run its course. And when you've truly grown, you stop asking why. You simply say, "Thank you for walking with me through that beautiful chapter." But Hollywood never sleeps. and neither do the headlines. Just days after their divorce became official, TMZ reignited the buzz. On October 2nd, 2025, cameras caught Keith Urban arriving in Pennsylvania, no wedding ring in sight. That same night, during a concert in Hershey, he made a subtle but powerful statement. Performing The Fighter, the very song he once wrote as a love letter to Nicole, Keith quietly changed the lyrics. It was a moment fans will never forget, the kind that doesn't need an explanation because the emotion says it all. Sometimes it just takes one name to set the internet ablaze. For Keith Urban, that name was Maggie Baugh, a young singer who had opened a few shows on his tour. Within hours, her name was everywhere. Social media lit up with rumors of a new romance, while entertainment outlets churned out headlines about a secret affair, a third person in the picture, and a love story gone wrong. But according to Taste of Country, the only outlet that actually reviewed that entire divorce file, the truth might not be what people think. If there is someone new in Keith's life, they noted, it's likely part of his private life now, not the reason the marriage ended. And while the world gossiped, both Keith and Nicole stayed silent. No denials, no cryptic posts, nothing. Nicole was seen on set, calm and composed, doing what she does best, losing herself in her work. Keith, on the other hand, was back on stage, smiling, singing, performing, as though nothing had changed. Their silence spoke volumes. Sometimes it's not the people involved who make the story messy, it's everyone watching from the outside. The official reason in their court papers was short and familiar: irreconcilable differences, Hollywood's most overused phrase yet. In their case, it held more weight than it seemed. People close to the couple told People magazine that Nicole felt Keith had grown distant not just from her, but from the family. While she was still trying to patch things up, he seemed to retreat into himself, using work as an escape. Long tours meant long separations. They weren't fighting, just drifting. Between 2023 and 2025, Nicole had stepped back into her prime, starring in major projects like Expats and Practical Magic 2. Friends said she was glowing again, rediscovering the part of herself that had been quiet for years. But that rediscovery came with a cost. According to sources, Keith wasn't entirely comfortable with her renewed success. For years, she had stood in his shadow cheering him on. But when the spotlight shifted, things changed. The dynamic between them, once balanced, began to tilt. Their split wasn't born from betrayal, but from disconnection. Two people who had once anchored each other found themselves standing on different shores. And maybe that's the real heartbreak of long marriages. Not the betrayal, not the fight, but the quiet realization that love can no longer find a place to live. What do you think? Was irreconcilable differences the whole truth, or just a gentle way of protecting each other from the world's judgment? Sources close to Nicole told People that she was heartbroken when it was finally over. She truly believed they'd made it through the worst addiction, distance, fame, and that their love could survive anything. She fought for it till the end, one insider said. But this wasn't the same woman that the world saw 2 decades ago when Tom Cruise blindsided her with divorce papers. The Nicole of today doesn't break, she breathes. After everything she's lived through, she's learned that nothing in life, not love, not marriage, is guaranteed. And that's okay. In her 50s, she understands something many people spend a lifetime trying to learn. Love doesn't need to be proven by a ring or sustained by a title. In an old interview, she once said, "To love someone is to bring them peace, whether or not you continue walking together." Those words feel even more powerful now. After the split, Nicole stayed in Nashville with her 2 daughters, stepping out of the spotlight completely. No statements, no interviews. Her sister Antonia flew in from Australia to be with her, and together they spent quiet days away from the noise. A close friend shared, she still loves Keith, but she's learned that sometimes love isn't enough to keep everything together. That kind of acceptance doesn't come from bitterness, it comes from growth. Nicole didn't walk away angry or broken. She walked away peacefully, carrying only the good memories and the love that once was. She didn't keep that love for the cameras, she kept it for her daughters and for herself. While Nicole embraced silence, Keith found refuge in noise in the rhythm of the stage. Right after the divorce, instead of taking a break, he threw himself into the tour. Thousands of fans, bright lights, endless applause, the one space where he still felt alive. He never addressed the split publicly, but his fans began to notice subtle changes in his music and in him. The way he sang, the way he paused between songs, the tone in his voice. It was as if every lyric carried a piece of what he couldn't say out loud. Keith Urban, the man who once wrote The Fighter as a promise of forever, was now using music to say goodbye. During a recent concert in Denver, Keith Urban paused mid-show, looked up at the crowd with a soft smile, and said, "Thank you for the years that have taught me to love deeply, hurt deeply, and sing honestly." It wasn't just a message to his fans. It felt like a quiet farewell to Nicole Kidman. Since then, he's been tweaking lyrics during his performances, almost as if he's rewriting his life story through song. A member of his crew told People that Keith isn't bitter, just a little heartbroken. He's sad but not regretful. They gave it everything, the insider said. For Keith, music has always been his emotional language. This time, instead of explaining or defending himself, he let the melodies do the talking. His songs now sound slower, more tender, and more reflective. Each note still carries a whisper of the love that once was. Before things fell apart, Nicole and Keith were considered one of Hollywood's most beautiful love stories, a pairing no one saw coming, yet everyone rooted for. She was a world-renowned actress, healing from heartbreak, and he was a country star fighting his own battles. Their story began on January 15, 2005, at the G'day USA Gala in Los Angeles. That night quietly changed both their lives. Nicole was instantly drawn to him, but Keith, shy and unsure, didn't call her for 4 months. "I had such a crush on him, but he didn't seem interested," Nicole once laughed on The Ellen Show. Then one early morning in June, Keith appeared at her doorstep in New York with a bouquet of white flowers, Nicole's favorite. "That's when I knew he was the one," she later told People. Their romance took off fast. They got engaged in May 2006 and married a month later in a candlelight ceremony in Sydney, where Keith serenaded her with "Making Memories of Us." Guests left with engraved keepsakes that read, "A Moment in Time, June 25, 2006, Nicole and Keith." But even fairy tales get tested. 4 months into their marriage, Nicole organized an intervention to help Keith seek treatment for his struggles with addiction. He went, and when he came out, she was still there waiting. By 2007, they moved to Nashville, leaving behind Hollywood's chaos for a quieter life. Their love often found its way into Keith's music. Songs like "Once in a Lifetime," "Got It Right This Time," "Thank You," "The Fighter," and "Gemini" were all inspired by Nicole. She once said, "I love him because he doesn't pretend. He's himself, scars and all." Together they raised 2 daughters, Sunday Rose, born in 2008, and Faith Margaret, born via surrogate in 2010. Keith once flew 20 hours just to make it to Nicole's first ultrasound. Small gestures that spoke volumes about their bond. Over nearly 2 decades, they weathered rehab, career high and lows, the loss of loved ones, and all the quiet, ordinary moments in between. When Nicole's father passed away in 2014, Keith left his tour immediately, flew to Australia, and sang "Amazing Grace" at the funeral, a moment which deeply moved fans around the world. Their affection was often shown through simple gestures, morning kisses, a car duet, or Keith's public declarations calling Nicole the inspiration of my life. In 2020, they sang together for a Christmas video. In 2023, Keith even played footage from their wedding on stage in Las Vegas, a touching tribute to their journey. "I'm so lucky to have Keith, the great love of my life," Nicole said in 2024, ahead of her 50th career anniversary. They truly had walked through everything hand in hand, and maybe that's why their divorce hit people so hard, because it wasn't born out of scandal or betrayal, but quiet acceptance. No lawsuits, no media warfare, just 2 people choosing peace over pain. Their split reminded everyone that love doesn't have to last forever to be real. It just has to be honest. For 19 years, they showed that love could survive fame, distance, and struggle. When it couldn't, it could still end gracefully. There's no winner or loser in their story, just 2 souls who shared a chapter so beautiful that even its ending feels gentle. As Nicole once said, love doesn't have to last forever to be eternal. Maybe that's what they both understood. Some loves don't fade, they evolve. They leave behind a quiet light, one that never truly goes out. So what do you think? Can love really survive a lifetime under Hollywood's blinding lights? Or is the greatest love story the one that ends with grace, not drama? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that touch the heart.